have a roundups and FEMA camps and all this. Look, this one from 40 years ago was overturned. They don't let you know they've all been reissued. See how the lawyer mind, little tricks, little scams they run. That's why popular mechanics won't come on this show, because I will eat their lunch. One time I heard one of their guys, the Megs, lying on the radio, and I called into the show. And I said, why won't you debate me? He wouldn't answer that. And I said, you say that not one U.S. Aircraft ever intercepted F-16s never intercepted any planes the year before 9/11 except for Payne Stewart. I have Reuters with NORAD saying they intercepted 167 in the year before. And he said, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to respond to you. I said, that's right, you son of a bitch. You're not going to, because you're a damn liar. Piece of filth. I mean, you really make me sick. You're telling people these executive orders don't exist to pacify people, and you play games with it. Well, let's read out of CBS, you little bastard. Federal quarantine authority is limited to diseases listed in presidential executive orders. President Bush added novel forms of influenza with the potential to create pandemics in Executive Order 13375. In effect now, not overturned, not rewritten, not expanded. And 9 times out of 10, they don't overthrow these. They just expand them when a new president issues a new number. Federal quarantines authority is limited to diseases listed in presidential executive orders. President Bush added novel forms of influenza with the potential to create pandemics in Executive Order 13375. That exists, Hearst Publishing. You understand? 13375. Stick it in your ear. Anyone violating a quarantine order can be punished by a $250,000 fine and or 1 year in prison. You can go, here's Fox News clip. Fox News, martial law if it's a pandemic, forced inoculations, roundups, all of it. You can go watch the clip. If we have time, we'll play it at the end. There it is. Just Google Fox News, martial law if it's a pandemic. And you can go and you can watch it for yourself, okay? Telling you how great it is. Okay. So we got that going on here. And then, of course, you can actually read the UN say it, and they admit, Reuters, AP, that this country's under UN control. They are directing the response of the CDC and the states and Northcom. And you can go read where it says forced inoculations, that you have no rights. You can go read all of this for yourself. We've had this linked all week long up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And let me give you the name of it. It's World Health Organization checklist for influenza pandemic preparedness planning. And then it lists all the international laws and treaties. Now this is real. The United Nations really exists. Here it is right here. Hate to have to tell Glenn Beck this, but here it is. It exists. Go ahead and show it. Yeah, we'll have to show it to folks so they'll think it doesn't exist. Department of Communicable Diseases, Surveillance Program, Global Influenza Program, World Health Organization. That's the United Nations seal right there. I assure you, that's the world government. I assure you they've announced it's world government, and I assure you it exists. Just like the Gulf of Mexico exists, just like I exist. Just like I get emails saying European Union doesn't exist. My God, you mentally ill people out there need to wake up, folks. World government's upon us. No more time to suck your stupid thumb. I got all this other news here. I'm going to call the White House in a moment, folks. We're going to call the White House in a moment. Let me go ahead and go through some of the other news they've got as they try to sell the public on accepting martial law. Mass vaccination drill puts health officials to practice, and they admit under the Model States Health Emergency Powers Act, they tried to forcibly inoculate 14 million first responders, police, firemen, county workers, doctors, nurses, and most of them said no. 99%, according to the LA Times, said no, because every time they gave them a smallpox shot, people were getting sick or dying from it. So they only shot up 4,000 to 14 million. Do the math. But still, with your kids at schools, they do forced inoculation drills. They don't just do drills. You've seen all over the news where they say, it's the law, you got to take the vaccines. And the kids show up at the courthouse crying, and the parents say, well, I don't want to do it, but they threaten to arrest me. Never telling them there's a waiver, never telling them it's not a law, it's a health department recommendation. Alaska health officials in the Anchorage School District teamed up Wednesday to prepare for the worst-case scenario by practicing a mass dispensing of vaccines. And we were pointing out 2 weeks ago here on air, they were already having drills all over the country with FEMA and Homeland Security in schools for mass inoculation drills and influenza outbreak drills like I never saw before, and all these weird phone calls getting made everywhere, and government documents we've covered ad nauseum. Like, where's my mass gray folder? It's here somewhere. where they're getting ready for mass graves just all of a sudden from influenza. Now, does that mean that they're even going to release bad influenza, one that'll kill tens of millions? Does that even mean that it's real? No, they can just... Most of this is about fear-mongering with county and city officials. They come in and say, we're really at level 6, but don't tell the public. And get ready for mass graves and for half the public to die. Billions could die worldwide, you know. And the local cops are like, I'll do whatever you say, feds, good God. You know, it's really about brainwashing them. And we caught the feds staging little fake terror attacks over the last few years to get the locals to roll over. So there's all these psyops going on. And we pointed that out with the psyop they gave the state officials that we got Wednesday night. I said they could be lying to local state officials. It doesn't mean that it's really going to, you know, be this bad or happen like this. But we have to take it serious. So mass vaccination drill. Here's WorldNet Daily. Excellent article. U.S. under UN law and health emergency. You can read that in Reuters if you want. Bush's SPP power grab set stage for military and to manage flu threats. This was August 28, 2007. Dr. Corsi, he's on, by the way, Monday with us. And it says in here, in the SPP documents, as we cover in Endgame, my film, that on page 3 that they had a plague involving a scenario of a plague in Mexico reaching across the border of Arizona and Mexico, a pandemic of influenza being the plague in 2006. And the SPP stated in the document that they would use this to help bring in the New World Order in the North American Union. And now that's in mainstream news, that globalism, and it brings the world together. In fact, did you guys Google that, where it was a bunch of headlines like, flu pandemic brings world together, good for globalism, good for global governments, good for UN. I mean, they're just admitting all of this. So you got that. Here's another great article just written by Jurian Masin. Yet another crisis, yet another call for world government, this time from RAND Corporation. That's an excellent article up on Infowars.com. And then this quack thermal imaging. You come out of the hot, you know, parking garage, taking the tram. You come in hot and sweaty to the airport. They drag you aside for flu testing and quarantine you for a few days while they test you. I mean, just all about training us that we're all criminals, we're all bad, giving the control freak government an excuse to be involved in our lives. Meanwhile, we're not noticing French news agency, 50 to 100 Guantanamo inmates can't be freed, says Gates. Obama agrees, saying they've got to be tried by secret military tribunals, agreeing with Cheney. See, nobody's hearing about that now. Yeah, the new level signifies that all countries should immediately activate their pandemic preparedness plans, World Health Organization director said. The world will need to pull together, she said. Yeah, but there's headlines I saw on Drudge and everywhere else. We even linked to them. I just can't keep somewhere in the stack. I'll come across it here in a moment, where they're going, this is good for global governance. This is good for world government. This is good for the world coming together. This is good for globalism. Okay, so we got that. I went through that stack. I got some other important stacks here, and I want to recap all of this. And they're doing quarantines everywhere and dragging people off airplanes and dragging people out of these systems. Again, all part of the fear-mongering, all part of the pageantry, all part of the theater. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and play the Fox News martial law piece. When we come back, I'm going to call the White House. I'm going to call the White House, give them a piece of my mind, coming up in just a moment. But right now, let's play this little Fox News piece. Now, when I saw this, I knew. When I saw 4 years ago, Tommy Franks, all over the news, all over Cigar Aficionado, all over Newsweek, all over the media going, it's real sad, but one more attack, we're going to have to get rid of the Constitution and our freedoms and have a military form of government. I don't like it, you know, as a soldier and as a patriot, but it's what people want for safety, and it will make them safe. And we got to give the people what they want. I'm real sad about martial law, but it's what's going to need to happen. Militaries throughout history hate setting up dictatorships. Only happens 99% of the time. But anyways, we really hate it. But and I said, that guy's on Pentagon payroll, part of the tens of billions in fake news that Congress admits is going on, and the General Accounting Office says is illegal. Sure enough, came out. Tommy Franks paid over $500,000. In fact, I haven't pulled that up in a while. Google General Tommy Franks paid I think it was $550,000. 550. Yeah, Google it right now. And you're going to see where I'm going with this in a minute. General Tommy Franks paid $550,000 to push Pentagon No, to promote war. Tommy Franks paid $550,000 to promote war.